Since Dr. Mohsin asked, so we do have a tea break, but after this session, not now. We are going for a very, very interesting session. The moment I see the term knowledge management or knowledge platforms, so that's pretty interesting. Before I call on the speaker and the chair, a little information that I would want to share with you about knowledge management. बहुत सारे सवाल जो कल से आ रहे हैं और जो हमारे IBA की रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हैं, मौलाना साहब, मैं यहाँ हूँ, आपके सवाल का जवाब दे रही हूँ. हाँ, so नॉलेज को जनरली हम दो बड़े हिस्सों में तकसीम करते हैं. एक को हम बोलते हैं टैसिट नॉलेज और दूसरे को हम बोलते हैं एक्सप्लिसिट नॉलेज. नॉलेज मैनेजमेंट की रिसर्च ये कहती है एक्सप्लिसिट नॉलेज वो कोडिफाइड नॉलेज है जिसको आपने लिख लिया, जिसको बयान किया जा सकता है, एंड विच इज सी ए रिटन, बी कैन बी कम्युनिकेटेड इजीली. The tacit knowledge is the knowledge which is experience based and which is not written somewhere. And one last, given the shortage of the time, degree is an explicit knowledge ka form and which is a very teeny meeny part of knowledge. The rest of the entire 95% is the tacit knowledge transfer. So my grandfather is definitely more knowledgeable than Dr. Saab, any Dr. Saab here, because he has tacit knowledge. Since the time is short, I will first invite the chair. Dr. Parvez Tahir is going to be the chair of our next session. Dr. Saab is a former chief economist. He was affiliated with the Planning Commission. He's also the member of the Council of Social Sciences. एक बात जो मैंने उनकी बारे में जानी थी, and it will be an honor to see him here, is that I have read the book Making Sense of Joan Robinson on China, and he's the author of that book. 2019 की वो किताब है. So everyone, a round of applause for our chair of the session, Dr. Parvez Tahir. The speaker of the session, we have met him yesterday when he was asking us to play games. Mahboob Saab, and he's here, and he's the founder and CEO of the Knowledge Platform. And he is, he's also, the time that he's taking to take his seat, I'll also include for all those students who are interested कि curricula updated क्यों नहीं है. He has also been the lead designer for online courses. So if you have questions related to that also, apart from his talk, so keep that in mind. He has the forte for online courses development also. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I think Nadeemul Haq just spotted me and said, go there, as he does all the time. So Syed Ahmed Khan, we all know, was the founding father of the modernist tradition that we have, and well before the modernization paradigm that we teach in development studies classes. So appropriately, we have the knowledge talk, and we probably have the best person on the subject here. We don't have time, and we don't want to follow the tradition of overstepping, so please start, and I will stop.
Chairman Saab, thank you very much. Dr. Nadeemul Haq, thank you very much. PIDE, IM Sciences, thank you for inviting me. We've been sitting for 1 hour, so I'd like everybody, I don't believe in sitting for 1 hour, longer than 1 hour, so can everybody stand up and let's just do a little bit of exercise. Chairman Saab, can I ask you to join us also? So what I want you to do is stand on your toes. I want you to stand on your toes. You can, Chairman Saab, you can do it. Come on, we'll do it together. Very good. Stand on your toes. And then raise your arm. High, high, high. And twist your body to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. You did it. Thank you. Okay. Now, I want to start by asking you 2 questions about whether you feel positive about something or negative about it. But I don't want you to raise your hand. I want you to clap. If you feel very negative, don't clap at all. If you feel very positive, clap loud and many times. Okay. So, we're all positive about being here. So my first question is about the world, all the people in the world. Do you feel positive about the future of the world? Very good. That's quite a good response. Now I want to think about yourself. Do you feel positive about your own future? Now, Chairman Sahab, which one were people feeling more positive about? The world or future? Their own future. Their own future. Why is this? Every time you ask these two questions, everybody feels more positive about their future than the world's future. Why? I don't know the answer, but you can think about it. Maybe you'll come up with an answer. Okay, yesterday, Atiq Raza Sahab talked about Moore's Law. Now, Moore's Law was written by, or came up, it's an empirical law which basically says that the number of transistors in an integrated circuit will double every 2 years. And then somebody came up with a corollary to that law that the price will halve. So what is happening, and now it feels like it may be flattening out, but what is happening in the world is that our capacity to create transistors has increased tremendously and will keep increasing. Now, if you look at, for example, 1969 was the first human moon landing. Do you all have a cell phone? How many of you have a cell phone with you? Almost everybody. Your cell phone is 1 million times more powerful than the computers that took the human beings to the moon. 1 million times. And I can guarantee you that in 10 years, you will have a cell phone, or you probably won't need a cell phone, some other thing. It'll probably be glasses. That will be another 10 to 20 times more powerful than that. So in other words, in 10 years, you will have a device in your hand that is 20 million times more powerful than the computer that took human beings to the moon. Now, what is the difference between artificial intelligence and traditional software? Let us say that you are in a school, and the school has a rule that says, if you come before 9 o'clock, let the student in at 9 o'clock, close the gate. Software is running that rule. So you scan your card, if it's 9 o'clock and your identity is correct, you're let in. That is software. But what artificial intelligence is, that if you come in at 9:05 and you say, Meri walda bimar thi, should we let that guy in? Artificial intelligence will think. Artificial intelligence will start thinking, maybe there should be some exceptions to this rule. What kind of rule exception should they? चलें अगर वालदा बीमार है तो उनको आने दें. मगर then they find कि अगले दिन 400 बच्चे आ जाते हैं जिनकी वालदा बीमार हैं. तो artificial intelligence may say, let's look at this problem in a deeper way. So very big difference between software and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the artificial capacity to think. And yesterday we came across the term singularity. In other words, we will soon come to a point when artificial intelligence is doing better and more sophisticated thinking than human beings in many, many, many fields of life. Think about chess. Now, chess, there are more game patterns in chess than there are atoms in the universe. There is another game, Chinese. Of course, the Chinese have to invent the most complicated game in the world, called Go. Go has 300 times more play options than chess. So it's a much more complicated game. Now, in the late Okay. In the late 1970s, somebody took on the challenge, IBM, and said, we are going to create a computer that can beat chess, world champion in chess. And it took 20 years for them to develop a computer program that beat Garry Kasparov in chess. They started in the late 70s, in the late 90s they had cracked it. When we got to Go, that only started in 2014 or something. They developed a computer. In 3 years, that computer beat the world champion in Go, and that world champion retired. He said, there's no more room for me to play. And not only that, after that, they developed a new computer. Now, they didn't tell that new computer the rules of Go. They just said, play with the old world champion computer. And that new computer beat the old computer in 7 months. So this is how fast the world is changing. And don't think this is only happening in overseas. We have been working for 2 years on creating artificial intelligence for learning. So I'll ask my colleagues to show a short video to give you a sense. Video दिखा सकते हैं जी? Video. So we call it PIDE Buddy. Your friend from the future is here. Right now it's only grade 6 to 10 math, but this will change.
दुनिया के बेहतरीन खिलाड़ी अपने खेल में महारत हासिल करने के लिए पर्सनल कोचेस इस्तेमाल करते हैं। कैसा हो अगर आपको भी किसी सब्जेक्ट में महारत हासिल करने के लिए अपना पर्सनल कोच मिल जाए। हम लाए हैं पढ़ाई बडी, आपका अपना पर्सनल लर्निंग कोच। पढ़ाई बडी पाकिस्तान का पहला आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पर्सनल लर्निंग कोच है। पढ़ाई बडी सबसे पहले किसी सब्जेक्ट में आपकी स्ट्रेंथ्स और वीकनेसेस जानने के लिए एक छोटा सा टेस्ट लेता है। इस टेस्ट की बुनियाद पर पढ़ाई बडी एक ऐसा पर्सनल लर्निंग पाथ तैयार करता है जिसके जरिए आप उस सब्जेक्ट में जल्द से जल्द माहिर हो सकते हैं। आप चाहें तो पढ़ाई बडी के तजवीज करदा पाथ के हर मरहले से गुजर सकते हैं, या मजीद आगे बढ़ने के लिए एक प्लेसमेंट टेस्ट भी ले सकते हैं। पढ़ाई बडी आपको उन पुराने असबाक की याद दहानी कराएगा जिन्हें दोहराने की आपको जरूरत है। आपको चाहिए बस एक फोन, टैबलेट या लैपटॉप और दिन में सिर्फ 15 मिनट, और जल्द ही आप अपने मार्क्स में नुमाया फर्क देखेंगे। तो इंतजार किस बात का, आज ही साइन अप करें और पढ़ाई के मुस्तकबिल में कदम रखें।
मेरे भाइयों और
फ्यूचर
बहनों,
ऑफ पढ़ाई, एआई।
ये जो एआई है, ये जो ऑटोमेशन है, उसकी बात करेंगे। ये बाहर की मुल्कों की नहीं है, ये पाकिस्तान में भी है। ये आ गया है। आपके जो बच्चे, आपके जो भाई बहन हैं, वो एक फ़र्क किस्म से पढ़ेंगे जैसे आपने पढ़ा है। देयर इज़ अ क्वालिटेटिव डिफरेंस इन हाउ वी विल स्टडी एंड वर्क इन द वर्ल्ड। दिस फ्यूचर इज़ इन पाकिस्तान, and this future will keep growing. It is not the future. We have arrived into the 21st century. Now, let us think about automation. What is automation? This is I like this picture because it shows a guy working on a factory floor. But what is he doing? He's fixing or programming a robot. So the job of putting things on a factory line and cutting and pasting, the robot is doing. His job is much more sophisticated. It is tuning up the robot, programming it, whatever. So more and more AI and automation is coming into the world. And like I said, it is here already and it will keep growing. Third is bioengineering. As you know, we can already splice genes. We can this will soon be starting to apply to make human beings with different kinds of genetic structures than what they were born or what they were in their wombs. So these three things working together, AI, automation and bioengineering will very, very, very quickly create a new world. And if we think about two particular aspects of this, one is mass customization manufacturing. Tomorrow, you will have factories back in America. We don't need to make clothes in Bangladesh anymore. You just put into your computer how big the shirt should be, what materials you use, and the factory will make a specific product for you right there and then. The whole industry that we are saying that we are behind in Bangladesh because our exports are cotton yarn and not finished goods, that whole industry will disappear in 20 years, gone. So if you're trying to become like Bangladesh, it's too late. Move on. Let's move on. The second thing is vertical food production. Now, I live in Singapore. Singapore is smaller than the size of Islamabad. When Singapore got independence in 1965, 18 years after Pakistan, their per capita income was a little bit more than Pakistan. Today, their per capita income, we are at $1,500, they're at about $60,000. And they have made a promise to themselves, which I know Singapore, they will keep. And it's 30%, 30 in 30. It's called 30 in 30. And what they mean is 30% of our food will, अभी तो उधर अंडे भी नहीं हैं, जो अंडे हैं, दूध है, वो बाहर से आते हैं, हर चीज़ बाहर से आती है खाने की. But they've made a promise to themselves that in 9 years, 30% of their food will be grown in Singapore. And they've started creating vertical factories where you can put any kind of plants, whatever you want to eat. Today you want to eat eggplant आ जाए, eggplant हो जाएगा. अगर आपने चावल खाने तो चावल इंशाल्लाह वो आगे grow करेंगे. Food is becoming automated and factorized as well. Again, we talk about the agricultural revolution. Things are moving so quickly that maybe there won't be much need to export food anymore. Now I want to ask you a question. These are two waiters. We talked about AI and automation. Two people. One is a blue-collar worker. He's a waiter. He looks like that guy from, what TV series is it? Game of Thrones, but he's not. He's a Pakistani guy. And the other is a clerk. He's a white-collar worker. This guy is a waiter. He cleans tables. He brings food. He takes orders. Customers are unhappy. He deals with them. The other is a clerk. He does data entry, checks some ledgers, makes an invoice, that kind of thing. Whose job is more threatened by the future? The waiter or the clerk? Clerk is white collar, waiter is blue collar. So first, raise your hands. Whose job is waiter? Who thinks the waiter's job is more threatened? Nobody. Who thinks the clerk's job is more threatened? Very good, very good. Why is the clerk's job more threatened than the waiter's job? Sorry? Very good answer. It's because it's more easy to automate. You think what the waiter is doing. कभी लोग उससे नाराज हैं, उनको खुश रखना पड़ता है, कभी कोई चीज़ को उठाना पड़ता है, कभी कोई चीज़ को साफ करना पड़ता है. It needs automation, it's not just AI. Clerk का तो job बहुत आसानी से चला जाएगा. Okay, let me give you a second case. Nurse, blue collar, earns very little money. General practitioner, doctor, white collar, 7 साल उसने पढ़ा है. वो क्या करते हैं? Diagnosis करते हैं, prescriptions देते हैं, कुछ test करा लेते हैं. Whose job is more threatened? The nurse or the doctor? Doctor. So, how strange that is. We have all been sitting here, डिग्रियां कर रहे हैं, हम पढ़ रहे हैं, मगर हम शायद वेटर होते तो बेहतर होती हमारी जॉब सिक्योरिटी में. तो ये हो रहा क्या है? So, the thinking, the conventional thinking, and when I started researching this, I was surprised because my thinking was this too, that blue-collar jobs will disappear faster than white-collar jobs. But it's not the case. Your jobs, your future is more threatened than the waiter or the nurse. And the reason is, it's not blue versus white. It's predictable versus unpredictable. जो डॉक्टर का जो डायग्नोस्टिक काम होता है वो बहुत प्रिडिक्टेबल होता है. वो डायग्नोसिस करते हैं, हिस्ट्री को देखते हैं, looks at other cases, but artificial intelligence, if the doctor sees 1,000 cases, artificial intelligence engine is seeing 10 million cases and retaining it all in its computer and giving a prescription and a diagnostic. So it's a more predictable workflow than the nurse who has to take care of somebody's dying, somebody's unwell, wetting the bed, 100 different things. So predictable versus unpredictable. So I want to ask yourself a question. Are you doing something that is predictable or unpredictable? I'll come to questions later. When you give an answer to the question, is your answer predictable or unpredictable? And if your answers are predictable, you should be worried. Okay, so now we look at what is getting, so predictable physical work is the most likely to get eliminated. So the factory worker who's doing cut press every day, he will be gone. But also data collection, data processing will be gone. So the less predictable your work is, or more management or applying expertise, which Atiq Raza talked about, Arshad Ahmed talked about, getting to that level of expertise is absolutely essential for the future. Now, we keep thinking about big data and analytics and all these kinds of things. Magar aap computer science to zyada idhar nahi padhte, right? Very few. But look at this list. These are jobs of the future and jobs that are declining. I've put red dots against jobs that are non-programming jobs. For example, AI and machine learning specialists. I now design artificial intelligence solutions, but I'm not a programmer. I'm a lawyer. I don't know anything about programming. General operations managers, management, sales and marketing, digital transformation. How do you take a university and bring it into the digital age, like Dr. Nadeem ul Haq is doing with 130 webinars. So congratulations to you, Dr. Syed. You are bringing PIDE into the 21st century. So the thing is, don't lose heart. Number one, learn programming. If I was, and maybe I'll still learn it. I'm thinking maybe I'll start learning. I'm 62. I've got another 20 years of good work ahead of me. Maybe I'll learn. But maybe you guys should learn programming. You're younger. Why not? But learn AI and data. Learn the kinds of jobs that are coming in the future. Let me give you now what's going to happen else in jobs. First of all, on average, you will change your job 12 times. You're young, you will change your job 12 times. 3 to 4 times you may change your careers. You will be working in at least 3 or 4 out of long-term jobs where you have tenure at a university or long-term with pension plan or government kind of thing, but you'll also work in contract and freelance, which is growing very much. You will work in gig economy. You'll be driving Ubers or giving your house in Airbnb for rental, something where you're doing something on the side. And then finally, entrepreneurship. Set up a business, set up a venture. If you don't feel confident enough to do it, join up with a venture that exists. People who are doing research, ventures need you. We need people who are in research and people who are in academics because we will get better information and better analysis if we have that kind of alliance. So prepare yourself for the new world. Do not think you will hold one job forever. So don't even try for that. You're better off trying for this set of skills. Now, I'll give you a case study how this is changing so quickly. We were looking for somebody who's head of marketing. So we got a guy, he had 20 years experience managing big teams. He had TV, prints and events marketing experience. He was an expert in developing one-year-long marketing campaigns. He was an expert in advertising firms and he's 45 years old. We rejected him. Then we had an interview with a 27-year-old woman, 4 years experience, but she had led marketing in a startup. She knew about social media. She knew about digital marketing. In other words, she was the Nadimul Haq of the 20 age group. And we made her an offer. Unfortunately, she rejected us. But this is where the world is going, that if you want to work in the most innovative companies, if you want to get hired by Google, you can. ये जो research का question है, ask what will it take for Google to hire me. Today they don't even want a degree from anyone. They don't want a degree. They want to know your skills and how you think and what your motivation levels are. Now, let's take a quick look at what's going to happen in the world. Basic labor. Let's talk about exports. Pakistan has two basic kinds of labor exports in the labor category. One is construction, and the other is automobile driving, taxi drivers. About 1.5 million people go out from Pakistan every year for this kind of job, or they're living there. What's going to happen in 10 years to all the taxi drivers, or indeed to the 2 million people who drive vehicles in Pakistan? What's going to happen to their job? We'll be living in safer. Already artificial intelligence is safer in driving cars than, because AI doesn't get drunk, AI doesn't listen, AI does not play with smartphone when you're driving, AI does not do any of these things. AI is already better. Those jobs will disappear. Construction jobs will still be there, but smaller. What will happen to energy? Saudi Arabia, as we move towards the green energy, what will happen to all the energy exporters? Will they have anything left to export? No. They know who needs. If you're getting energy from the sun, why do you want to bring oil from Saudi Arabia? It doesn't make any sense. Low-tech manufacturers, Bangladesh, if you can make a t-shirt in your factory and get it delivered next door without the fuel and energy costs of shipping it over and the time delay, why wouldn't you do that? Bangladesh model of low-tech manufacture will be out. Please, in your policy studies, please study what's happening to low-tech manufacture. Agricultural products, हम आम बनाते हैं. सिंगापुर हमसे आम लेगा, 20 साल में हमसे आम नहीं लेंगे. हम जब तक क्वालिटी अपनी इम्प्रूव करेंगे कि वो 4 हफ्ते सर्वाइव करे सुपरमार्केट में, उस टाइम तक वो उसका DNA कोड लेके प्रोग्राम में डालेंगे और वो आम दूसरी तरफ से निकल आएगा. So food will go away. Minerals will stay. Pakistan has, for example, pink Himalayan salt. That will stay. Of course, other minerals that are very rare earths and so on, this will stay because these are rare commodities. Branded goods. Maybe Pakistan's biggest export in 10 years will be halwa. You know, I went to Multan recently and I got this amazing halwa. Apne khaiye Multan ki halwa? Amazing. Maybe that will stay. Branded goods, maybe halwa will be our biggest export. And then two things that will definitely happen is high-tech manufacture. High-tech manufacture, these phones that will be 20 million times more powerful than the phone, than the computer that took you to the world, that will stay. And IP-centric, whether it is movies, songs, dance, somebody giving you religious commentary, computing, programming, this will grow and grow. So these last two things will grow hugely. And anyone who's in that flow will benefit a great deal. Now,
Mehboob, we have to go away in 10 minutes too.
10 minutes, okay. If you look at the list of the 10 richest people in the world, eight are in technology. So it just shows you where it's going. What's going to happen is there will be 4 types of people in the world. 4. Idea makers, people who are making that technology, bringing those creative solutions, or indeed music or whatever. Enablers, the guy who's fixing the robot. Humanizers, the nurse who is making things human. And then maybe there'll be a universal basic income. Even in Pakistan with BISP it started, where basic income, people are not getting paid, but they're not doing anything. So you have to decide which category you want to fit in. You can make a lot of money and have a lot of creativity, some medium level, or just subside on the basic income. Now, if you look at Pakistan's situation, what is our biggest challenge? Is it in the next 20, 30 years? Is it climate change? Is it the emerging future? Is it political crisis or the political explosion, population explosion? What do you think is the biggest? Can we just have a shout out in the interest of time? What is our biggest challenge? Climate change, yes. Thank you for saying it first. It's climate change. If 3 to 4 degrees centigrade temperature changes, and we already almost sure that 2.5 will happen, maybe we can't stop it to 4 degrees. This is what will happen. Karachi will sink, 67% of the glaciers that Arshad showed you will disappear, massive reduction in water resources aridity. So this will become a huge challenge, but also an opportunity for those who go. And already you can see in the West, wind turbine service technicians is the #1 growing occupation in America, and #3 is solar panel installers. So we're already in a situation where there's more growth taking place with green jobs. I'm going to skip this. So now, I just want to spend the last few minutes talking about what you should do. 4 things. #1 is autonomous learning. #2 is English. #3 is the future. And #4 is 21st century skills. So let's look at each of these quickly. You know, I did an interesting study with Dr. Nadeemul Haq, and we interviewed 280 faculty. It was the biggest research project on university faculty. And 70% of them said that they learn through mentors. And I showed this to Dr. Banuri, and he said there's something very wrong with this. I said we have to improve our mentoring programs. He said there's something very wrong with it. In all respect to teachers, I'm a teacher myself. He said the problem with this is our mental model in Pakistan, including the faculty, is that you learn from other human beings. I'm not saying you don't learn from other human beings, but autonomous learning, your ability to learn by yourself with that little device you already all have, is the most important skill that you can develop. So for example, you can search, you can read. I play chess, I engage with the AI, I ask them for hints, they give me a hint, I may or may not take it. So it's an interaction. I play games online, set up with communities of practice. Do a project on 3 Rs, environmental literacy project. So engage, if you can engage with that little device you already have, this is the most important transition you can make. Learn how to learn by yourself, set up your own study plan, and keep improving yourself. Most important for 21st century is self-learning. Second is 26% of the internet is in English, about 20% in Chinese, only less than 2% is in Urdu. So if you don't know English or maybe Chinese, you're frozen out. So please take this seriously. I love Urdu, I'm not so good at it, but I'm trying to improve. It's our great national language. It has great wealth. But if you want to become a participating member in the future, you have to improve your English skills. You don't get research projects if you don't write well, you won't know how to search, and so on. English learning is if you do nothing else in school, if you don't learn anything in economics, anything in software programming, you just learn English, your income level will be higher than anyone who does anything else on average. This is a statistic that British Council came up with. Obviously, they have a stake in it. The next thing is the future. Nostradamus, we still talk about Nostradamus, that he was looking at the future. Then Alvin Toffler came around in the 50s and 60s looking at the future. But now, telling the future is absolutely central part to what everybody needs to do. There's a saying that those who do not learn from the past are condemned to repeat it. Yes, we must learn from history. But I would say those who do not study the future are condemned to miss out on it. Things are changing so fast. We have a game. Please play it. Please pay attention to the future, because the future of the world is your future. We don't want you to become a general practitioner and then say कि मैंने इतने पैसे ज़ाया कर दिया और मेरी जॉब चली गई है. Next is
आपका जॉब भी जाने वाला है.
मेरी भी जॉब बिल्कुल सही है, मेरी भी जानी चाहिए, because I'm a teacher. You don't need. I can put this on the web. Next is what is 21st century learning? Communication, बात करना, collaboration, साथ काम करना. So communication is blue sky, it's early stage. collaboration is deeper, you're working together through communication. Critical thinking, asking questions, problem solving, actually taking those questions and solving problems. Creativity, coming up with great ideas, innovation, driving them to products and services. So this is the next paradigm that we need to master. And so my final remark is, take your learning in your own hands. At the beginning of this, I asked you, why do you believe that the world is going in a good place or you are going in a good place? You believed in yourself. Mashallah, that's great. Believe in yourself, but please use this device well. Use this device well. Do not rely on all these teachers. Do not rely on these universities. I'm not saying they can't help you. They will help you. But the power you have in your hands and your heart, universities and degrees and teachers cannot replicate that. Keep your smartphone on and don't watch too many, bekar videos.
Thank you. Thank you, Mahboob. I think the main message of your lecture was summed up in the following line: ilmo bas kariyo yaar, and use the cell phone. Okay? In the interest of time, we will have only one question, and that two questions, okay? And one will be asked by me first. How threatened is the job of DMGs in future? The job of? DMGs, civil service, top civil service.
Look, you always need people in power, so there will be power, right? But you see, the DMG model, I believe, is an anti-intellectual model because they keep moving people around. They don't have expertise in that area. So this model, in Pakistan, it may survive, but it's a very bad model. If, like I deal in Ministry of Education, that's the ministry I know. And I'm sorry to say, whether it's the minister or the secretary, they don't know anything about education. So baat bhi kisse karo? You have to move, if you want to have a good governance system, ये सिफारिश corruption वगैरह की अलग बात है. मैं expertise की बात कर रहा हूँ. If you don't have expertise, you will not be able, if you don't look to the future, अभी देखें हमने single national curriculum पे इतना time गुजारा.
Okay.
We are in a crisis. Education is suffering. We should focus on that crisis. You should have the expertise to deal with the problems at hand.
Thank you. One question from this side and one from that side. This side. Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a PhD scholar, and I want to ask one thing that so we go to our supervisor and we ask them, sir, they usually said in Punjabi, "Putar ki ho yaate no? Beda pareshan kyun?" So we say, sir, that oh come on here, ek gale lagman jaffi pa, you will feel comfortable. This kind of all this stuff can be replicated by our phone. One thing. And my second question is the very simple question that we are talking about the structural unemployment that you have predicted in the future. All our stakeholders, do we have any comprehensive policy to deal with upcoming structural unemployment caused by all these AIs? Thank you so much.
आपने बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा कि वो फ़ोन अभी झप्पी नहीं पाएगा, मगर 10 साल में वो फ़ोन भी आपसे झप्पी पा लेगा. मगर जो रोल ऑफ द टीचर है, द ह्यूमन टीचर, इज़ टू गिव यू इंस्पिरेशन, झप्पी, ask, set your agenda, tell you where to go, how to improve what you're doing, add value, high-end value to your direction. Your goal is to set the direction. Knowledge, research, acquiring basic skills, these can all happen by yourself. You don't need the jhappi to learn how to put a random control test together. You can learn that all through the internet. You may need a jhappi to say, yaar mera randomized control test nahi kaam kar raha, main phir se karun ke haan yaar karo, ye karo, wo karo, aise adjust karo. So we should be clear. Human beings will not disappear in the work role, but their role will become more facilitative, more helpful, and computers and technology and the vast internet that is already available will be there for you to acquire your own skill. How far you go down that road is limitless, because you see, on the internet world, you are equal with everybody else. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Once you have the phone and once you learn English, you're equal with everybody else. So on that world, you can progress as fast as you can. Of course, if you have a very good professor, that's excellent. But let the professor do what he or she is good at, and let the internet do what it is good at.
Question from this side.
और मिचू काकू जिनका आपने तस्वीर दिखाई वो भी ये कहते हैं कि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस एक अजम्पशन है हमारी कि इट इज़ मच इंटेलिजेंट। ऐसे ही जब टेलीफोन आया तो हमें लगा जहन टेलीफोन है, टेलीफोन स्ट्रांग हो जाएगा। फिर उसके बाद जब लोकोमोटिव्स आए हमें लगा जहन लोकोमोटिव है, वो स्ट्रांग हो जाएगा। तो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस से सिर्फ उन लोगों को डर है जो दरख्त के अंदर फर्नीचर देखते हैं, साया नहीं देखते। तो मेरा ये ख्याल है कि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस इज़ द मोस्ट वन ऑफ द मोस्ट थिंग्स। जैसे हमने असला बनाया था और हम उस पर बड़ा कर बैठे थे। मैं कई नाम आपके सामने दोहरा देता हूँ, युवगानी का, ब्रेव न्यू वर्ल्ड वाले हग्सले का, जॉर्ज ऑरवेल का। किसी ने भी इसकी गुड साइड को अप्रिशिएट नहीं किया, बस एक यूटिलिटी बढ़ा देगा। इट कैन नेवर एवर रिप्लेस द ह्यूमन फंक्शन। वो जो बाइसेंटेनियल मैन में वो आखिर में गया था अपनी मालकिन के पास और उसने कहा था टीच मी हाउ टू क्राई बिकॉज दैट व्हाट मेक्स मी मैनकाइंड, दैट व्हाट मेक्स मी मैनकाइंड। और जिन 10 लोगों की आपने तस्वीरें दिखाई कि वो अमीर हैं, उनमें से तीसरे नंबर वाले के 4 स्कैंडल निकले हैं। एक वो मार्स जिसको देख के बच्चे ख्वाब देखते थे, एक वो जो मार्स वाला जो है ना जिसको देख के बच्चे, जिस मार्स को देख के बच्चे ख्वाब देखते थे, वो वहाँ पे प्लॉट बेच रहा है। मतलब वर्ल्ड फूड प्रोग्राम ने कहा कि इतने पैसे दो गुर्बत ख़त्म हो जाएगी, तो वो दलील मांग रहा है। हालांकि मैं होता तो झूठा ही सही प्यार तो कर के सारी दौलत ही दे देता कि यार भूख ख़त्म कर दे। तो ये मेरा सवाल है आपसे।
आपका बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है और मैं हर चीज़ से डिसएग्री करता हूँ और टाइम नहीं है उस पर जवाब देने का पूरा। मगर पहली बात, इफ़ योर नैरेटिव इज़ आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और ह्यूमन, दिस इज़ अ स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन बिकॉज वी ऑलरेडी इन अ वर्ल्ड। अब जब फ़ोन देखें, आप वीडियो देखते हैं, यूट्यूब पे जाते हैं, तो उसको वो आपको प्रॉम्प्ट कर रहा है, दैट्स आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, राइट? सो वी आर ऑलरेडी रिलाइंग ऑन आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस। तो ये एक हमारा रिश्ता बन गया है कंप्यूटिंग के साथ। तो इट्स नॉट आइदर और, it is how we learn and use that system. Like when I play chess, I don't take all the suggestions, I take some of them. Secondly, regarding ethics, artificial intelligence, look, ethics is also mental at the end of the day. For example, Michael Sandel is a professor at Harvard. He gives a very famous lecture, which is the best attended lecture at Harvard, where he says there's a train running down the track, and there's one person who is in the track. And there are 5 people in the train, do you divert the train to save that one person's life? Everybody says no. Then they say, what if that one person was a mother, as if, he keeps doing the permutations. So the point is, when you train a car, that you should drive over if one person is there, but not 5 people, or mother, or this thing, or that thing. You have to program the engine because there are ethics involved. But so we have to think about our ethics more seriously. It's not that we are ethical and artificial intelligence is not ethical. It's how we engage with artificial intelligence to make it more ethical and become clearer in our own ethical thinking as well. Third thing about these rich guys and all, look, I don't care if they're rich. My point was wealth is an indicator of where the world is headed. Whether they were good or bad, and certainly we should, if there was a nationalist argument here that ye log American hai aur ye kharab hai, I don't buy that. We have many bad people in this country, we have many good people in the country, and many successful people are good or bad. The point is, what have they achieved? And my question to you is, what will you achieve? Use the tools you have, use human ethics, use human relations, but also use this amazing force that is coming out, and if you don't use it, you will suffer. Trotsky once said, you may, as a, the Leninist, Trotsky said, you may not be interested in the dialectic, but the dialectic is interested in you. In other words, the forces of history are interested in you. And I'd like to paraphrase that and saying, you may not be interested in artificial intelligence and automation, but artificial intelligence and automation is interested in you. And either you have to help it, use it, and grow, or take universal basic income.
Thank you, Mahboob. Thank you very much for exciting all of us. And what better summing up by a chair than the request for tea?